For years, she never knew who left the anonymous white lilies at her doorstep, always on the days she felt the loneliest. She never knew who slipped small kindnesses into her life when she was too exhausted to ask for help. But when she left her wallet at a small cafe on a rainy Thursday, and the man who returned it spoke her name with a familiarity she couldn't place, the truth began to unravel. And what she discovered about him would change everything she thought she knew about love, timing, and fate. Hello, my friends. I am Olivia, and this is Olivia's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. My name is Lena, and for most of my adult life, I've been tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that comes from holding yourself together for too long. I work as a graphic designer, mostly from home, mostly in silence, and mostly pretending that I don't feel the constant ache of being unseen. Maybe that's dramatic, but loneliness has its own echo. Sometimes it hums in the background like a refrigerator in a quiet room. Sometimes it roars, like when you look around and realize everyone your age seems to have someone waiting for them, except you. Still, I tried to keep my life stitched together with tiny rituals. A morning walk, chamomile tea at night, and every Thursday, like clockwork, I visited this little corner cafe tucked beside the old bookstore. The place smelled like roasted almonds and warm sugar, and the bell above the door always chimed as if greeting me personally. I never expected my life to shift there. Quiet places rarely cause earthquakes, but I guess fate doesn't follow my logic. That Thursday afternoon, the air outside felt heavy, as if the sky couldn't decide whether to rain or just brood. Inside the cafe, the soft clinking of mugs blended with the gentle hum of an old espresso machine. I remember thinking the world felt almost kind for once. I paid, grabbed my latte, and slid into my usual seat. My mind drifted. Work deadlines, my mother's worried phone calls, and the strange ritual of the anonymous lilies that had appeared at my door every year on my birthday. I still didn't know who sent them. I convinced myself it was a mistake or some kind stranger who eventually forgot me. If only I had known. I left the cafe in a hurry, rushing to beat the drizzle that began tapping faintly against the windows. The air smelled like wet pavement and fresh rain, one of my favorite scents. I remember feeling almost peaceful. But when I got home and reached into my bag to grab my keys, my stomach dropped. My wallet was gone. Panic flared through me, sharp, electric. My ID, my cards, the photograph of my sister tucked in the side pocket, all of it lost. Storm clouds swelled overhead, crackling with a low rumble, as if echoing the dread building inside me. I grabbed my coat to run back to the cafe when my doorbell rang. The sound cut through my apartment, low and unexpected, sending a shiver up my spine. I opened the door, and there he stood, holding my wallet in his hand, rain dripping from his hair, and a look in his eyes like he'd been waiting years for this moment. He said my name before I could speak. And I knew, instantly, that I had seen him somewhere before. But not where I expected. He stood there on my doorstep, soaked from the rain, breathing a little too heavily, as if he'd run the whole way. His dark hair clung to his forehead, and the streetlight behind him cast a soft halo around his silhouette. For a second, all I could do was stare at the wallet in his hand. My wallet, my life in a little tan rectangle. But then he spoke again, quietly, hesitantly. "Lena, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you." His voice. That's what stopped me. It wasn't unfamiliar. It wasn't strange. It was something else. Something that tugged at an old, buried thread inside me. Like a song I'd heard once, years ago, but could never quite place. I swallowed. "Did you find it at the cafe?" He nodded, rainwater dripping onto his jacket. You left it on the table. I tried calling after you, but you didn't hear me. Then it started to rain, and he cut himself off, exhaling softly. I thought it was better to bring it straight to you. Most strangers wouldn't go this far. Most strangers wouldn't know my name without looking inside the ID slot. Most strangers wouldn't be standing here like returning my wallet meant something to them. Thank you, I said, slowly, reaching out to take it. His fingers brushed mine, warm, steady, deliberate. Not an accident. The hallway felt suddenly too quiet, too intimate. The drizzle outside softened into a mist, tapping gently against the railing and forming tiny streams down the stairwell. He took a step back. I'm glad you got it safely. He turned, too quickly, as if trying to escape before I asked anything else. But I did. Wait. His shoulders stiffened. He didn't turn around immediately. When he finally did, there was something in his expression, something careful, something almost fearful. I've seen you before, I said. Haven't I? A pause. A barely perceptible breath. Yes, he admitted, but probably not where you think. The answer made my pulse skip. I stepped into the doorway, clutching the wallet against my chest. Where then? For a moment, he just looked at me, really looked at me, like he was deciding something. Lightning flashed faintly behind him, illuminating the street for half a heartbeat. Then he shook his head. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. He started descending the stairs. But something inside me, something old and aching and tired of being invisible, didn't let me stop there. What's your name? I called after him. He froze again, and this time he turned fully, rain streaking down his jaw, eyes deep and unreadable. Elias, he said finally. My name is Elias. I repeated it under my breath. Elias. As if saying it might unlock the strange familiarity gnawing at me. He gave a faint nod, then walked out into the night. No umbrella, no hesitation. He disappeared into the mist like a shadow slipping back into its rightful place. I stood there long after he vanished, the air colder now, the rain sounding like a soft rattle against the metal roof overhead. My heart wouldn't slow down. Because something was wrong. Something didn't add up. And the moment I stepped back inside and set my wallet on the counter, I saw it. A tiny pressed white lily petal caught between the card slots, delicate and unmistakable. My breath caught. The lilies. The anonymous lilies. My hands trembled. Elias had touched my wallet. But had he also been touching my life for years without me knowing? I didn't sleep that night. The lily petal was too much. Too familiar, too deliberate. I held it between my fingers like it was evidence of a crime or a confession. I couldn't decide which. Every year, those lilies appeared at my door with no note, no explanation. Always white, always fresh, always on days when the world felt too heavy for my chest. Someone had been watching me. Not in a sinister way, but in a way that suggested they knew when I needed softness. And now Elias had shown up at my door with my wallet and a lily petal inside it. I replayed everything in my head. His voice, his eyes, the strange sense of déjà vu, the way he said my name like it meant something to him. I should have been scared, but I wasn't. I was curious, unsettled, and, if I was being honest, drawn in a way I couldn't explain. By morning, the rain had stopped, and the city smelled like damp concrete and cold air. I wrapped my coat around me and walked to the cafe, hoping maybe he'd be there. Part of me expected to see his silhouette in the corner, pretending not to notice me. But the cafe was painfully ordinary. People chatted over steaming mugs. A barista frothed milk with a high, hissing swirl. Someone laughed too loudly at a joke I didn't hear. Normal. Too normal. I ordered a latte and sat in my usual seat. The chair felt strangely colder without the adrenaline from yesterday. My eyes kept darting to the door every time the bell chimed. He didn't come. Instead, something else did, something small, something that made my stomach flip. When I reached for my bag, I found a folded slip of paper tucked into its outer pocket. Crisp, new, placed intentionally. My throat tightened. I glanced around. No one was looking at me. No one seemed out of place. With shaking fingers, I opened it. 2 words. Beautiful handwriting. Familiar looped strokes. Be careful. Nothing else. No signature, no explanation. Just a warning that made the hair on my arms rise. I pushed my chair back a little too fast. The legs screeched softly against the floor, making a couple of people look up. My heartbeat thudded in a fast, uneven rhythm. Why would he tell me to be careful? Of what? Or who? I left the cafe and stepped into the cold air, scanning the street. The morning traffic growled in low waves, tires hissing through leftover puddles. A bus rumbled past, blowing wind into my face. Nobody was watching me, or maybe they were, and I just couldn't see them. Then, halfway down the block, I saw him. Elias. Leaning against a lamppost, half hidden by the fog lifting off the pavement. His hands were in his pockets, his posture tense, like he was waiting for someone, but also desperately hoping they wouldn't show. He didn't see me at first. But when he did, something shifted in his expression. His eyes widened, just slightly, but enough to spark a quiet panic under my skin. He straightened, stepping away from the lamppost. "Lena," he said, voice low, urgent, "you shouldn't be here." My breath hitched. Why? What's going on? He glanced over my shoulder, scanning the street with a sharp edge in his gaze. The tension rolling off him was unmistakable. Someone was watching. Someone besides him. He stepped closer, not touching me, not yet, but close enough that I could feel the warmth from his jacket. "There's something I need to tell you," he said quietly. "Something I should have told you a long time ago." My pulse hammered. "About the lilies?" His jaw clenched. "No," he said, "about why I've been keeping my distance." He hesitated, then looked directly into my eyes. "And why you're not safe anymore." For a split second, the world around us seemed to contract. The traffic noise dimmed, the damp air tightened, and all I could focus on was Elias's face, the tension in his jaw, the urgency threading through his voice. Not safe. Because of him. "What do you mean?" I whispered. He took a slow breath, like he was steadying himself before walking into fire. "I need you to trust me, Lena, just for a moment." The strange thing was, I already did. Something in his presence, in his voice, in the way he said my name, like it wasn't just a word, but a promise. It stripped away the fear I should have felt. "Okay," I said, "I'm listening." He looked over my shoulder again, scanning the sidewalks, the parked cars, the windows above the street. His gaze paused on an apartment balcony across from us, where a curtain shifted slightly, barely noticeable, unless you were looking for it. Elias moved closer, his voice almost a breath. "You've been followed." My stomach dropped. "What? By who?" "I don't know exactly who they are," he said, "only that they've been watching you for months. and that they're not doing it casually. He swallowed hard. That's why I left the warning at the cafe. My pulse pounded in my ears. But how do you know all this? That question changed him. His eyes softened, not with guilt, not with fear, with something else, something deeper, heavier, more vulnerable. Because I've been watching them, he said. And because The world steadied, then tilted. The lilies, I whispered. He exhaled shakily. Yes. A lump formed in my throat. Elias, why? Why me? He looked as though he'd been waiting years for that question, and dreading it. His voice trembled on the edges. You don't remember me, he said quietly, but I remember you. My breath hitched. The familiarity, the voice, the feeling. My mind raced. When? I asked. Where did we? 5 years ago, he said. The night your sister was hurt. The night everything in your life changed. My heart stopped for a beat. I hadn't heard anyone mention that night in years, not even my mother. The emergency room, the smell of antiseptic, my hands shaking so hard I couldn't sign the forms. You were outside the hospital, he continued, crying into your coat. You thought nobody saw you. His eyes glistened with something raw. But I did. I felt the ground shift under me. I worked there, he said. Night shift, maintenance. I passed by the hallway every evening, and you were always there for her, even when you were breaking. His voice cracked. That night, I wanted to tell you that you weren't alone, but I was nobody, a stranger, so I kept my distance. And afterward, you disappeared from the hospital, and I thought I'd never see you again. The air thickened between us. Until I found out someone else was interested in you, he said, watching you, not kindly, not like me. His jaw tightened, so I stepped in. Quietly, carefully. I didn't want to scare you. The lilies were all I could give without crossing a line. Emotions swelled in my chest, too big, too confusing, too overwhelming. Elias, I whispered, why didn't you just talk to me? He laughed softly, a broken, aching sound. Because I didn't think you'd want to talk to someone like me. Another shift happened, this time inside me. He wasn't a stranger. He wasn't a stalker. He wasn't dangerous. He was the only one who'd ever seen me on the worst night of my life and stayed. He took one step closer. But now, he said softly, now that they're getting bolder, I can't protect you from a distance anymore. I felt his warmth, his sincerity, his fear. None of it for himself, all of it for me. What do we do? I asked. He held out his hand. Not demanding, not desperate. Just hopeful. We face it together, he said. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. I placed my hand in his. Whatever came next, danger, truth, or something deeper, we would walk into it side by side.